But before he could say anything, Mimo senses danger and pulls Mist away as a huge sword smashes Gizun heads in. Mimi immediately turns around to see 3 dragon riders being led by a young man with silver hair and glaring red eyes who declares himself as the humanity's strongest troop, who is known as Civet. He descends down with all 3 of his companions as he introduces their unit as the 5 dragon riders. Gizun used to be a part of them as well, but he spoke too much and that's why he had to die. One of them seems to be a bit more flamboyant than the others with his Karen-style haircut, while the other wants to cosplay as a pirate, and tells Civet that they should use her as a ball and toss her around on the field before killing her since the king himself ordered her to be killed on sight. The flamboyant Karen tells the pirate to shut up as the king wants the corpse to look as beautiful as Mist looks in real life, while Mist is horrified at what these men are saying. She takes out her sword, claiming that she won't die so easily. But the guys don't take her seriously and Civet tells her that he would give her a chance to win a duel against him, and if she wins, he will leave her alone. But his eyes immediately turns towards Mimo as right now he is more interested in this strange foreign man than the elf princess himself. Mimo realizes that his life is hanging by a thread right now, as he can feel the power that this man has, which is 100 times greater than the Soul Eater who gave him a run for his money. He still smirks for some reason and asks Civet whether they can have a chat. Civet asks his name, but Mimo gives out his fake name, which Civet immediately recognizes and gets even more interested. The pirate seems dumber than a rock and asks why is he so interested in the boy. But Civet replies that this boy is not trembling in front of the dragon riders and even wishes to have a conversation with the humanity's strongest man. Mimo realizes that he needs to play his cards right if he wants to survive this ordeal and asks Civet whether he simply wants to fight the strongest enemies he could find on Earth to satiate his battle hunger. Civet acknowledges the truth but claims that not many enemies can give him a good fight. But Mimo asks why doesn't he fight against the goddess Visay. Civet claims that the goddess is indeed strong, but their kingdoms have a peace treaty. But if it ever came to war, he would love to fight the heroes that she summoned from another world, as they are supposed to be incredibly strong. Mimo smiles while Civet gets bored of Mist and tells her that he doesn't want to fight a weakling like her and asks her to simply drop the sword and accept her death. Mist refuses it obviously, which annoys the white-haired knight. But Mimi decides to sweeten the deal and tells him that if he wants to fight a strong foe who can actually go toe-to-toe with him, then Civet should choose him as his new opponent as he is a hero from another world. Everyone is shocked to hear this, including Mist, who had no idea about it. But Civet laughs, claiming that he knew something was different about him. He asks why the hell is a hero roaming around in the forests so far away from his kingdom, and Mimo decides to spill the truth as he knows Civet will know if he lies. He reveals to Civet that the goddess considered him to be of a different class to the other heroes, and that's why she separated him and sent him away. There was not a speck of lie in there, but as expected, Civet thought that Mimo must have been a very strong hero, and that's why he was allowed to go alone. He asks what does Mimo want from him, and Mimo replies that he wants to postpone their match for now. Civet laughs and asks what he will get in return, and Mimo replies that he will train and become stronger than anyone, even the goddess herself. And then he would come back to meet Civet in an all-out deathmatch. Civet laughs like a sociopath at this and claims that he would love to see that one day and tells Mimo that he is free to go on his way, and even the dragon riders will leave once they deal with the elf princess. Mimo's face changes and he tells Civet that he can't let them do anything to Mist as he needs her to help him get stronger. Civet laughs once again, claiming that he will allow that as well, as he really wants to fight him soon. Karen tries to speak against this, but Civet tells him to shut up if he wants to stay alive, and soon they all take flight as Civet tells Mimo to get strong before his patience runs out. Mimo smiles and bids him farewell as he waits for them to come in the exact range he wanted them to be in, and immediately uses his paralyze spell on them. Civet realizes that something is wrong, but it's too late as soon enough all the dragons and their riders fall to the ground one after another while Mimo laughs at them, claiming that this is not some heroic tale where people honor their words. This is his gritty story of revenger against the world, and he doesn't care how he achieves it. Civet struggles on the ground angrily, asking what the hell did he do. Mimo doesn't even care to reply and uses poison on all of them, killing them immediately. But Civet still keeps struggling even after hit by his poison spell, which reminds him of the Soul Eater, who was the only other monster that managed to move a little while being poisoned. Civet is much stronger, though, as he picks up his lance to throw it at Mimo, but ends up falling down out of exhaustion. Suddenly an alarm is sent for backup and a huge horde of dragon riders arrive. Sivit tries to bark orders at them, telling them to keep their distance and kill both Mimo and Mist. But the dragon riders are too shocked to see the strongest four, including their leader Sivit, on the ground, dead or dying. Mimo tells Mist that she can run away while there's a chance, but she tells him that she is his bodyguard and will stay by his side. Mimo smiles and immediately connects with Piggy thanks to his newly learned ability. Soon Piggy emerges from Mimo's back and sends a bunch of tentacles towards the flying dragon riders, increasing Mimo's range as he uses his paralyze spell on them. Soon it starts raining dragons and humans as they fall all around him. But he decides that he is going to use these men as lab rats, so he uses different spells on them to try them out. He uses Berserk spell on Karen, who immediately gets mad and starts calling the manager, before using the darkness spell on the pirate, making him actually blind as he struggles to see what's going on. After he is done with everything, he simply leaves them to die, and paralyzes them once again for good measure. Suddenly he realizes that everyone's dead, but Sivit is still somehow surviving, which truly shocks him. He walks up to him as he takes his final breath and collapses on the floor, finally dead. After that, Mimo and Mist walk into the forest, knowing that at least no one will be following them, but Mist claims that there might still be the black dragon rider known as the hero killer who must be after her. Mimo suddenly remembers that he killed someone like that, which truly shocks Mist as she wonders how strong this man is. She pledges her loyalty to him and promises to stay by his side through any kind of troubles, while he promises to pay her back in kind. They finally start their journey together through the forests, not know what adventures lie ahead for them. Several days pass by when Mimo and Mist reach a new town which looks to be filled with life as the market erupts with talks, laughter and kids playing around at night, while Mimo looks around in different shops and gets interested by a weird mask on display. The shopkeeper tells him that the mask is the replica of the Fly King, who was a demon king long ago and defended the land of the demons against a giant army and managed to save his race from extinction. But even after doing all this, some politicians banished him outside the country, claiming that he was the root of all evil and the Fly King was never seen again. Mimo ends up buying the mask and takes it back to his tent where he tries it on, thinking about how his story is similar to the Fly King, but unlike the Demon King, he will definitely take his revenge against the goddess. The next morning he leaves to explore the city with Mist, who believes that their enemies would not expect them to be in the middle of the city. But Mimo is still very careful, checking to make sure they are not being followed. He suddenly notices a giant old building, and Mist informs him that this building is known as the Colosseum, where slaves and mercenaries fight against each other and against animals in hopes to attain glory, gold, or freedom. He realizes that this is basically the same as the Roman city in his world and asks who controls this region. Mist claims that the Kingdom of Yuza manages this entire region and tells Mimo that nowadays the Colosseum has been turned into a freak fest. Whereas during the early days, many nobles and soldiers fought against each other to show their strength, and several times the best would be chosen to act as the commander of the entire army. Mimo is not interested in all this horse crap and tells the woman to follow him into a fancy little inn. She complains about how they should save money and advises him to only book a single room instead of two. Mimo turns around to check whether she is joking or not, but the girl is a total thought and claims that she doesn't have any problem with them sleeping together. Later that evening, they head down to the tavern to grab something to eat, and Mimo notices that the place looks unusually filled with people. He silently listens to all the conversation when some men start gossiping about how the Black Dragon Knights are all dead after they went to find the elven princess, and start making fun of her by saying that she must be hidden in a kitchen making a sandwich. Mimo agrees with these misogynistic jokes and keeps listening when someone claims that the group of mages who call themselves a Shinto claim to have killed all the Dragon Knights, while the other men believe that they might have killed Mist as well, not knowing that she was sitting right in front of them. Mist tells Mimo that Ashinto has been the talk of the town lately, as they are some dark mages who seem to worship an evil cursed god. Just as she was telling him about them, the door opens and a bunch of hooded figures claiming to be the sorcerers of Ashinto enter the tavern. They walk through the crowd and shoo away some people from a table before sitting down and asking for booze. Mimo realizes that these idiots don't seem to be very scary or dangerous, but because the Dragon Knights ended up dying mysteriously in the eyes of the kingdom, they can claim that their curses worked. Suddenly Mimo overhears two men talking about the fact that the death of these Dragon Knights could be the work of the Forbidden Witch, and one of them claims that someone has seen her nearby. Mimo immediately walks up to them and orders them a bunch of beer and food as he asks for information in return. The men are more than happy to oblige and tell him that the Forbidden Witch is supposed to be a dark elf who wasn't seen for the past 10 years, but recently someone claims to have seen her fighting in the pits of Colosseum as a blood fighter. He asks where he can find this beast woman, and the guys tell him that he would have to get through the Colosseum, and for that he would need the permission of the Duke. Suddenly, the door opens and a cheetah woman enters the tavern, and the guys immediately smile, claiming that Mimo is in luck as this is the beast woman they were talking about. Mimo immediately moves towards the beast girl and offers her a drink and some food. The cheetah introduces herself as Eve and immediately asks what he needs, so he cuts to the chase and asks whether she has seen the Forbidden Witch. Eve ends up disappointing him as she claims that that is just a rumor started by someone. It is true that she once entered the Golden Forest where the witch supposedly lives, but she never actually met her. She asks why does he want to know about the witch, and Mimo lies about being a scholar who wants to produce a biopic about her. But Eve simply warns him not to go near the forest as he won't survive a single day inside. With that, Eve leaves the tavern and soon Mimo and Mist also depart while she confidently tells him that the beast bitch was lying. Mimo also thought the same and decides to investigate this matter further tomorrow. They return back to their inn for the night where Mimo realizes that he forgot to feed his slime and gets scared of a lawsuit by PETA. They soon start munching down on some old cheese sandwiches that he had in his magic bag, which Mist really likes. Mimo wonders how can they extract more information from Eve, and Mist replies that the only thing that blood fighters care about is money, because with that they can earn freedom from their masters, but to do that, they would need a huge amount of money. Mimo decides to find out more about Eve the next morning, while Mist decides to burn of some calories to maintain her hourglass shape and gets in her armor, which leaves all her vitals in the open. She starts practicing her swordsmanship, as Mimo watches her in admiration, realizing that this woman can make a sandwich and cut it with her sword, which is a bonus. He gets impressed by her and asks whether she could teach him some basic moves, and she agrees. She tells him to go all out and attack him, but Mimo wonders whether a weak woman can handle his manpower. Mist tells him not to worry as she was the instructors for the Holy Knights before, so Mimo swings at her full force, but she dodges out of the way and locks both his arms behind him. Mimo immediately folds, so Mist lets him go by the time they are both covered in sweat. Mist realizes that women should wash the clothes, so she immediately heads down to clean their clothes, but starts creepily sniffing Mimo's cloak while he comes from behind. She immediately hides what she was doing, while telling Mimo that she is used to washing clothes. A little while later, Mist heads off to sleep, while Mimo sits down reading his dark magic book. But just like my dyslexic ass, he can't understand anything. He realizes that Mist has been doing her hardest to make sure she isn't a dead weight, and he decides to thank her the next morning. Before he could head out to sleep though, Mist ends up waking while Mimo tells her that he just couldn't sleep. Mist immediately takes out her herb bag and produces 3 herbs that have different effects on a person. She claims that the first herb can make you sleepy and relaxed, while the second one can make you energized. Mimo wonders whether it actually works, but decides to try it out anyway. So he takes out a couple of cups and puts some soup cubes in it before pouring in hot water. After that, Mist takes out a vial and starts pouring the herb into the cup, but later realizes that she messed up and ended up pouring the energizing potion instead of the relaxing potion in the tea. Mimo realizes that this can be difficult considering they are in a single room with no one watching, but he reminds himself of his goal, which is to take revenge against the goddess Visi, which puts his mind back into the focus mode, while Mist bows down as she has finally found the king of all incels. The next morning, they both head back to the city in order to gather more intel, and Mist returns back with some juicy gossip. She tells Mimo that Eve was brought here as a slave 3 years ago, and she showed her true potential in her first fight itself. Ever since that day, she has stayed undefeated in the arena, and tomorrow is going to be her last fight as a slave. Mimo looks troubled as this would mean that she already has enough money, which puts bribing her out of question. Surprisingly enough, Mist claims that there is more to the story, as apparently Eve already earned enough money to buy her freedom 2 years ago, but she stayed behind because of a child slave, whose freedom she wants to buy as well. She also tells him that most of the strongest blood fighters have died in their last matches, and she suspects that the old Duke doesn't like these fighters earning their freedom, so he rigs the fights against them and kills them in cold blood. Mimo wonders whether Eve has any idea that her last fight could take her life and all that she dreamed of, while Eve sharpens her blade to get ready for the battle. Mist asks Mimo whether there are any chances for Eve to survive, but Mimo believes that the Duke would never let her live and will definitely try to kill her off with the introduction of a new fighter, which will now become everyone's favorite. Mist is shocked at this and asks what will they do tomorrow, but Mimo replies that they don't have to wait till tomorrow as they are going to make their move today itself. Later that evening, Mimo ends up tracking Eve down into a dark alleyway and blocks her path. She seems confused at this and asks what does he want, since she already told him that she has never seen the witch. Mimo immediately tells her that he knows that's a lie, but Mist tries to claim that it isn't. Mist decides to chime in and claims that they know she is lying, and Mimo asks her to cut the crap and come clean. Eve immediately takes a defensive position and grabs her sword, but Mimo tells her to chill out as they simply want to help her. Eve keeps her hand on the sword while Mimo tells her that the Duke is planning to have her killed in the match tomorrow, which would be really problematic for them since he wants to find the location of the witch. He straight up asks Eve whether they should kidnap the girl that she is hiding and take her out of this slave city tonight. Eve gets pissed at this and claims that she will cut their hands off if they dare lay a finger on the girl, but Mimo tells her to rest easy as they mean no harm. Mist chimes in claiming that they know she has been fighting these past 2 years only for the sake of the little girl Liz. Eve realizes that these guys really do know everything about her, so she calms down a little, claiming that she can't turn away from the fight tomorrow and must participate. Mimo asks whether they should take Liz away to safety, but Eve replies that if they don't follow the rules of this city and try to run away, bounties would be put on their head and they will be pursued by soldiers and assassins for their entire life. She claims that she might have ran if she was alone, but since Liz would be with her, she can't take any chances. Mimo again claims that he can take her away to the safety of the Golden Zone, where the witch lives, as no one would dare enter that area, but Eve replies that even he won't be able to enter the zone itself as it's way too dangerous. Mimo, however, promises that no matter what happens, he will make sure to keep Liz as safe as possible. Eve considers this option and looks at Mist, immediately realizing that she has experience in martial arts, and asks Mimo what is he capable of. Mimo tries to downsell him and claims that he can defeat the Skeleton King pretty easily. Eve smiles, claiming that a Skeleton King is a strong enemy, but nothing compared to what he would find in the Golden Zone. Mimo replies to that by revealing that he is the one who defeated the Black Dragon Knights. Eve doesn't take it seriously though and simply laughs at him, claiming that a weakling like him could never face even the weakest Dragon Knight. But Mimo immediately raises his arm, and before Eve could take her sword out, he uses his paralyze ability on him, completely freezing her body while she struggles to get free. He tells her to calm down as the more she tries the more HP she would lose. He claims that with this ridiculous ability, he managed to defeat the hero of humanity all on his own. Mist walks up as well and removes her cloak before revealing that she is the elf princess who the Dragon Knights were chasing, and claims that she saw the battle with her own eyes. With that, Mimo reveals Eve from the paralysis spell as she finally believes his abilities, but replies that even after all this, she wouldn't be taking their help and going the legal route of winning her final match tomorrow and freeing Liz from slavery, as she trusts in her own strength more than she can trust someone she just met. Mimo looks at her and asks whether she thinks the Duke would let her go this easily, since he has heard that the Duke is a pretty big thorn in the ass character, but Eve claims that despite the Duke being unethical, she still believes that he is just as human and can't be as ruthless as to turn against his own words, so she would trust in her skills to defeat the opponent tomorrow and start a new life. He decides to leave and tells Eve that if she changes her mind, they would be waiting by the front gates of the city till the crack of dawn. After that, they return back into the city when they suddenly spot a huge crowd gathered around the dark mages who claim that the man of this house trash talked their god, so they delivered judgment and slit his throat. They ignore them and proceed on their way. By the time night starts falling, they suddenly hear the voices of these dark mages harassing a poor girl for absolutely no reason. They try to get her involved with their cult, but she refuses, which gets her a bitch slap across the face. Mist gets pissed and tries to get her sword out, but Mimo stops her and instead uses his berserk spell on one of them. That man starts going crazy, hitting and biting anyone near him, which gives the girl some time to escape, after which Mimo uses berserk spell on the others, who all start fighting while he leaves the scene alongside Mist. A little after midnight, both Mimo and Mist set out again towards the front gate, while Mist asks whether he truly believes Eve would seek their help. Mimo replies that he knows for sure that the Duke is a total bastard, and if Eve decides to go the legal route, she will get royally boned. The same thing has been confusing Eve the entire night as she struggles to sleep thinking about tomorrow and whether the Duke would keep his word. She decides to put her mind at ease by directly asking the Duke whether their deal about freeing Liz was still on. But before she could enter the room, she overhears a soldier talking to the Duke about tomorrow's battle. He asks him whether there are any changes in the plan, but Duke replies that there will be no changes and Eve would die tomorrow. This truly shocks her as the Duke talks about how he is going to give her a poison which would numb her senses. The soldier laughs while the Duke claims that he was forced to spend a lot of money into the shrine that's being built for her since she was very well loved by the audience, but he considers her as a subhuman creature who shouldn't even be alive. Eve can't believe her own ears, while the soldier asks what will happen to the little girl, and Duke Dipshit replies that he will raise her as a perfect wife, otherwise simply pimp her out for a lot of money. They all start laughing while Eve clenches her teeth before returning back to her cell as she finally comes to a decision. She gets a cloak and walks towards the main gate where she finds Mimo and Mist both waiting. Mimo is surprised to find her so early, but she replies that the Duke indeed is a filthy animal who can't be trusted, so she will take Mimo's offer and run away. Mimo claims that he wants some things in return and Eve agrees, claiming that she will reveal the location of the witch and even enter the Golden Demon Zone with them. That settles the deal and Mimo gets ready to kidnap the little girl. Meanwhile, on the other end of the city, the dark elf works in a tavern, cleaning up the tables, while the fat owner comes out of the kitchen screaming at her to move her hands faster. The poor girl tries her best to work quicker, but the fatty has less than one brain cell, so she starts hitting Liz for absolutely no reason till the little girl falls to the floor while she laughs at her. Liz tries to hold back tears and stay strong as she remembers how strong Eve is and takes comfort in that. The fatty for no reason starts screaming in her ears when suddenly the door slams open, flinging the fat ugly bitch on the ground. Eve enters furious at the fatty for treating Liz like that and takes her sword out, but the fatty immediately falls to the floor begging for her life, claiming that she never wanted to treat the girl badly. But the Duke ordered her to discipline the girl harshly, and if she didn't do that, he would have punished her. She tells the fatty that she is going to leave with Liz and tells Fatty that if she wants to live, she will tell everyone that Liz got kidnapped by someone, and Eve went after them. The fatty cries and agrees to these demands before telling Liz that she never wanted to treat her badly, but was forced to. Suddenly Mimo enters the tavern wearing his mask, and tells Eve to go ahead as he just wants to check on something. Once they leave, he walks up to the ugly fat orc and tells her that she might trick Eve with her acting, but he can see right through her ugly acting. He tells her that he has been through abuse and knows what it feels like, so he can't let her go this easily. The woman tries to call his bluff, claiming that she is the only one who can save them from the wrath of the Duke once he gets to know about this. But Mimo is done with her crap and immediately uses Paralyze followed by the poison spell, which somehow manages to turn her even uglier as she starts dying slowly. Mimo takes out a knife and starts setting up the scene to make it look like a robbery before leaving the tavern and escaping through the sewer. They start making their way through the underground routes while Liz introduces herself, begging Mimo to let her accompany them as well as she wants to stay with Eve. Mimo looks at her, claiming that their path is going to be very dangerous, but Eve confidently replies that she will be fine as long as she can stay with Eve, so Mimo agrees. He soon takes out the slime from his back and introduces them to it before making their way out of the sewers. Soon they enter the forests and start moving through it when Eve walks up to Mimo and claims that she trusts him completely and is ready to put her life on the line for him. Mimo asks where this sudden trust came from, and she replies that Mimo could have used other means to get information out of her and could have even tried to threaten her by kidnapping Liz on his own, but he decided to come clean with her about his motives. She then asks why exactly does he want to meet with the witch, and he replies that he has an ancient text that he believes the witch can decipher. Eve asks whether he intends to harm the witch, but Mimo refuses, claiming that as long as the witch doesn't attack them, he doesn't have any intentions to hurt her. Soon enough, they start moving on horseback, where Mimo tells Mist that Eve definitely has some connection with the witch, and he has also heard that the witch is a dark elf just like Liz, which can come in handy as she can vouch for them. Suddenly, he notices a bunch of light coming from the kingdom and realizes that someone has raised an alarm already. Eve believes that someone must have seen her and claims that she will hold them back while the rest run away, but Mimo refuses, claiming that they will take their stand together. He first distracts half the forces by making them chase after some horses, while they hide between the bushes for a surprise attack. He tells Eve to fall back with Liz, as for this particular plan, he needs Mist in the front. With everything set up, he finally picks his mask and puts it on, ready for the last stand against the forces of the Duke. If you liked this video, make sure to subscribe.